But we go back to this graph that I showed you earlier. This is the 1,000 years, the warming of the medieval optimum. And this medieval warm period. This graph created a great problem for them because it appeared in the first report in 1990. And it was produced by Hubert Lamb. And of course, here they were saying this is as warm as it's ever been. And people like me were saying, well, what about the medieval warm period? It was warmer 1,000 years ago. We had all this evidence to support that. This is testimony from David Deming, who I've known for 30 years. This is his testimony to the US Congress, so it's given under oath. And he said, with the publication of the article in Science, I gained significant credibility in the community of scientists working on climate change. They thought I was one of them. Sounds almost paranoid, doesn't it? But one of them. Someone who would pervert science in the service of social and political causes. So one of them let his guard down. A major person working in the area of climate change and global warming sent me an astonishing email that said, we have to get rid of the medieval warm period. We have to rewrite history. Can you imagine? We have to rewrite history. And that's what they did. And they produced this graph, infamously called the hockey stick. Right? And to be full disclosure, the person that produced this is Michael Mann, who is at Penn State. He is now suing me. I have a large lawsuit against me by him because I showed how they corrupted the data and what they'd done. And the interviewer said, what do you think about Mr. Mann? And I flippantly said, he's at Penn State, but he should be at State Penn.
No sense of humor.
No sense of humor. And of course, by the way, in Canada, no protection of free speech. That's why the lawsuit was filed in Canada. I would never have had the lawsuit here in the US. If you want to get a measure of how valuable your free speech is to you, wait till you've been sued for saying something and you find out just how nasty it is and how bad it is. I mean, it was a flippant comment. In fact, we've discovered since that one rap singer had already made the comment, but he didn't get sued. But what Michael Mann did was he used tree rings to produce this decline in temperature. You see the medieval warm period's gone. What's the mistake with this? Tree rings don't show temperature. They're precipitation driven. And he only selected one tree ring set which showed the declining temperature. But then they had a problem because the temperature on the tree rings kept going down into the 20th century. So what they did was they cut it off at 1900 and they tacked on modern instrumental record, which is completely scientifically corrupt. And what we got from the leaked emails, what they were doing. They instructed the computer to hide the decline. That was the phrase that was used. That, oh, we can't have that decline, so we've got to hide it. So whenever the thing starts to go down, plug in this data and that'll make it go back up again. Okay? That's what went on.